Have you been feeling like your motivation has completely disappeared? Like no matter how hard you try, the drive that once pushed you is just gone? You might think you're lazy, burned out, or failing. But what if I told you that your lack of motivation is actually a sign of something much deeper? The truth is, when your soul begins to awaken, the old goals, routines, and desires no longer excite you. In this video, we'll explore why spiritual awakening can make you feel stuck and how to transform that emptiness into powerful, lasting motivation.
The mystery of losing motivation. Have you ever woken up one morning and felt like the spark that used to drive you is suddenly gone? You look at your goals, your to-do list, your responsibilities, and instead of excitement, you feel a heavy weight pressing down on you. The same things that once energized you now feel like a burden. You tell yourself, maybe I'm just tired, maybe I'm being lazy, maybe I'm losing discipline. But deep inside, there's a whisper that says, this is something more. Here's the truth. Losing motivation is not always a sign of weakness. Sometimes, it's a sign of a deeper transformation taking place within you. When your soul begins to awaken, the old desires, the external goals, and the shallow pursuits that once fueled you begin to lose their power. What once mattered so much suddenly feels empty. And this can be incredibly confusing. Think about it. Society tells us that motivation is everything. We're taught to chase achievements, work harder, set bigger goals, and never slow down. But what if the reason you can't find motivation is because your soul is pulling you in a completely different direction? What if your lack of drive is not failure, but a sign that you're being prepared for a higher path? Spiritual awakening often begins quietly, with a sense of disconnection from the life you once thought was yours. The job you were proud of may now feel meaningless. The routines you once found comfort in may now feel suffocating. The dreams you thought would make you happy may suddenly seem shallow. It feels like nothing makes sense anymore. And that's because your old self is being stripped away to make room for your higher self. It's like a caterpillar preparing to transform into a butterfly. During the cocoon stage, the caterpillar is not moving, not growing in the way we expect. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But inside, a profound transformation is underway. The same is true for you. When you lose motivation, it may be your cocoon stage. On the surface, you feel stuck. But beneath that stillness, your soul is reshaping your desires, your priorities, and your very identity. And here's what's important. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not falling behind. You are awakening. The loss of motivation is not an ending. It's a signal that the old energy no longer matches your new vibration. What used to drive you was connected to the version of you that is now dissolving. The emptiness you feel is simply the space being cleared for new passion, new clarity, and new purpose to enter. So instead of blaming yourself for not being motivated, pause and listen. Ask yourself, what is my soul trying to show me? What am I outgrowing? What deeper truth is calling me? The answers may not come instantly, but the very act of asking opens the door to a new kind of motivation, one that isn't forced but flows naturally from the core of your being. This is the mystery of losing motivation. It's not always a problem to solve. It's often a doorway to your awakening, when the old path no longer fits. One of the clearest signs of spiritual awakening is the moment you realize that the old path no longer feels right. It's like walking in shoes that once fit perfectly, but now they're too tight, uncomfortable, and painful to wear. You may try to keep walking in them because they're familiar. You may even force yourself to pretend they still fit, but deep inside, you know the truth. You've outgrown them. This is why so many people lose motivation during awakening. The job that once brought pride now feels empty. The goals that once made you excited now seem meaningless. Even relationships or routines that used to bring comfort may suddenly feel heavy, draining, or misaligned. What you're experiencing is not failure, it's growth. You are no longer the same person you used to be, and naturally, the things that once aligned with you no longer resonate. Think about it like this. Imagine climbing a mountain. At the base,
You needed certain tools, energy, and mindset to get started. But as you climb higher, the terrain changes. What worked at the bottom may not work at the top. The oxygen is thinner, the challenges are different, and the path requires new strength. Spiritual awakening is the same. The tools and motivations that once helped you move forward can't take you any higher because they belong to the old stage of your journey. This is why forcing yourself to keep walking the same path feels impossible. You're not lazy, you're misaligned. And misalignment is your soul's way of redirecting you. It's as if life is whispering, stop pouring your energy into what no longer serves you. It's time to rise higher. But here's the challenge. When the old path no longer fits, the new path often isn't clear yet. This in-between stage can be confusing and uncomfortable. You feel like you've lost your sense of direction. You don't yet know what the new path looks like, but you know the old one is no longer right. This uncertainty can feel like standing in the middle of a foggy road, not able to move forward but unwilling to go back. And yet, this is exactly where transformation happens. The loss of motivation is not a punishment, it's an invitation. It's the universe creating space in your life so you can discover your deeper calling. If everything still felt exciting on your old path, you'd never stop to question whether it was truly meant for you. Sometimes, it takes the collapse of false motivation to wake you up to your true purpose. So if you feel stuck, if your old dreams no longer excite you, take it as a sign that you're evolving. You've reached a point where surface-level goals are not enough. Your soul is hungry for more, for truth, meaning, and alignment. The old path no longer fits because you're stepping into a bigger version of yourself. And remember this, growth often feels uncomfortable, but it's always worth it. Losing motivation for the old is simply preparing you to find passion in the new, the inner conflict of awakening. One of the most challenging parts of spiritual awakening is the inner conflict it creates. On one side, there's your old self, the version of you that was shaped by society, expectations, routines, and external rewards. This part of you wants to hold on to what's familiar, even if it no longer feels alive. On the other side, there's your awakening soul, the part of you that craves authenticity, truth, and alignment. And in the middle, you feel torn, pulled in two directions, unsure of who you really are. This is why awakening can feel like a battle within yourself. You may hear an inner voice saying, I don't want this anymore. I want something deeper, something real. But almost instantly, another voice chimes in. Don't throw away what you've built. Don't step into the unknown. What if you fail? What if people don't understand? These conflicting voices can leave you paralyzed, drained of energy, and confused about your next steps. And here's the thing. This conflict is not a mistake, it's part of the process. Just like a snake sheds its skin, your soul is shedding old layers of identity. But shedding doesn't happen without friction. Your old self resists because it fears death. It doesn't realize that what's dying isn't you, but only the outdated version of you. The awakening self is not trying to destroy you, it's trying to free you. Let's take an example. Imagine someone who has worked in the same career for years. They've built success, maybe even financial security, but deep inside, they feel empty. Their soul is calling for something different, perhaps creativity, service, or spiritual growth. Yet when they consider leaving, the old self panics. What about the money? What about my reputation? What will people say? The conflict between security and authenticity creates a storm inside them. This is the exact experience many go through, during awakening. The conflict also shows up in daily life. Things you used to enjoy may now feel meaningless, but when you try to explore new passions, you may feel lost or unprepared. You may long for solitude and silence, but your old self craves distractions and noise. You may want to grow spiritually, but your ego fears letting go of control. This push and pull is exhausting, but it's also proof that transformation is happening. So how do you handle this inner conflict? The key is to stop fighting it. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you're broken, recognize it as evidence that you're evolving. Every conflict is an invitation to choose alignment over fear, authenticity over expectation, truth over illusion. The more you choose your soul, the quieter the old voice becomes. In time, the storm settles. The old self loses its grip, and the new self begins to shine through. But until then, be patient with yourself. The inner conflict of awakening is not a punishment. It's a birth. And like every birth, it comes with struggle, pain, and messiness. But in the end, it brings forth something new, powerful, and beautiful. Your true self. Embracing the void. Perhaps the most unsettling stage of spiritual awakening is what I call the void. This is the space between who you used to be and who you are becoming. It's that strange, empty gap where the old no longer excites you, but the new has not yet fully revealed itself. In this void, you may feel lost, restless, and unmotivated. It feels like standing in the middle of an empty room with no doors, no windows, and no clear direction. Many people panic here, believing something is wrong with them. But in reality, the void is not a punishment. It is preparation. The void strips away distractions and illusions. It removes the false identities and external motivations that once defined you. In doing so, it creates a sacred space for something new, something more authentic to take root. Think of it like a farmer clearing a field. The old crops have been harvested, the soil has been tilled, but nothing has been planted yet. To the untrained eye, the field looks barren, but to the farmer, it is a space of pure potential. The void in your life works the same way. This is why embracing the void is so important. Most people resist it. They try to fill the emptiness with busyness, distractions, or old habits. They rush to force clarity, hoping to escape the discomfort. But when you resist the void, you delay your growth. You plant shallow seeds too quickly, seeds that cannot grow strong roots. True transformation requires patience. The void is the pause before the breakthrough. It's also in the void that you learn to detach from external validation. When you no longer feel motivated by money, praise, or old ambitions, you're left to ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What makes my soul feel alive? At first, the answers may not come, and that's okay. The silence itself is a teacher. It teaches you to trust the unknown, to let go of control, and to open yourself to you, O higher guidance. Think of the caterpillar entering the cocoon. Inside, everything dissolves into what seems like chaos. The caterpillar has no idea what it will become. All it knows is that it can't stay the same. The void is your cocoon. You are dissolving the old so you can transform into something greater. And yes, it feels like nothing is happening, but deep inside, everything is happening. So instead of fearing the void, honor it. Use it to rest, reflect, and reconnect with your inner self. Journal your thoughts. Spend time in silence. Meditate. Take walks in nature. Allow the emptiness to cleanse you of what no longer serves you. Because when the new path finally appears, you will be ready, clear, strong, and aligned. The void is not the end of your motivation. It is the reset. It is the sacred pause that allows your soul to lead you into the next chapter. And once you embrace it, you will discover that the emptiness you feared was actually the doorway to your greatest transformation. Rebirth of true motivation. After the emptiness of the void, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to feel the stirrings of new life within you. It's subtle at first, like tiny sparks of inspiration flickering in the darkness. Slowly, a new kind of motivation is born. But this time, it's not the old drive that was fueled by ego, fear, or society's expectations. This is a deeper, purer form of motivation, the motivation of the soul. True motivation is not about chasing success to prove your worth. It's not about climbing ladders to gain approval. It's not about striving endlessly just to keep up with others. Instead, true motivation flows naturally from alignment with your higher self. It is fueled by authenticity, clarity, and purpose. When you act from this place, you don't need to force yourself. You want to move forward because your actions feel meaningful. Think about it this way. When you were in the old cycle, you may have pushed yourself to achieve things that drained you. Maybe you forced yourself into jobs, relationships, or routines that didn't nourish your spirit. That kind of motivation always burns out because it's external and temporary. But after awakening, your motivation begins to flow from the inside out. It is sustained not by external rewards, but by the joy of living in truth. For example, instead of working hard just to earn money, you may now feel motivated to create work that uplifts others, that expresses your gifts, that contributes to something bigger than yourself. Instead of exercising to fit into a certain image, you may feel inspired to move your body because it feels alive, vibrant, and connected. Instead of chasing relationships out of loneliness, you may now be motivated to build connections that are soulful, supportive, and genuine. This is the rebirth of motivation, a shift from "I have to" into "I choose to." You are no longer forcing yourself, you are flowing with yourself. And that flow feels energizing, natural, and sustainable. Another sign of true motivation is that it does not come with burnout. When you are aligned with your soul, you may work hard, but you won't feel drained the same way you once did. That's because you're not leaking energy into things that go against your truth. You're not resisting yourself anymore. Instead, your energy multiplies because you're in harmony with your purpose. And here's the beauty. This reborn motivation doesn't just help you, it inspires others. People around you notice your light, your passion, your peace, and they feel encouraged to discover their own. Your journey becomes a ripple that touches the lives of many. So if you've been feeling stuck, if motivation feels lost, remember, it's not the end. It's the clearing before the renewal. Spiritual awakening may strip away the old, but it always makes space for something greater. The void gives way to rebirth. And in that rebirth, your motivation returns, not as a fragile spark, but as a steady flame that can light your entire path forward. So my friends, as we come to the end of this journey, let's take a deep breath and look at what we've uncovered together. When you find yourself in a season of zero motivation, it can feel terrifying. It can feel like you've lost your spark, like something is wrong with you, like life is passing you by. But now you know the deeper truth. This loss of drive is not a failure. It's a sign of transformation. It is the whisper of your soul, pulling you away from false pursuits and guiding you toward a more authentic, awakened path. In the beginning, the collapse of old motivation feels uncomfortable because everything you once knew starts to dissolve. The routines, the goals, the desires that used to drive you suddenly lose their power. But rather than seeing this as weakness, recognize it as the first step of awakening. You are being stripped of illusions so that you can rebuild your life on the foundation of truth. Then comes the void, that mysterious empty space where nothing seems to make sense. Instead of panicking or filling it with distractions, you've learned to embrace it. The void is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the fertile soil of your soul, waiting for new seeds to be planted. And though it feels like silence and stillness, it is actually a sacred pause, a reset that allows the old to fall away so the new can be born. And finally, from that emptiness comes rebirth. A new motivation begins to rise. Not the fragile spark of external validation, but the steady flame of inner purpose. This is the moment when you begin to act not because you have to, but because you want to. Your choices become aligned with your soul, and your energy flows with ease. You begin to see that true motivation doesn't drain you, it sustains you, it carries you, it expands you, and it inspires others around you. So if you are in that place of feeling lost, stuck, or completely motivated, let this truth sink in. There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, something very right is happening. You are awakening. You are being called to shed what no longer serves you and step into who you were always meant to be. Your soul is guiding you toward clarity, alignment, and a deeper form of power than you've ever known. The emptiness you feel is not the end of your story. It is the doorway to your next chapter. And in that chapter, your life will no longer be driven by fear, comparison, or external demands. It will be guided by authenticity, fueled by love, and lit by the eternal flame of your soul. So, my friends, if you feel like motivation has abandoned you, remember, it hasn't left. It's only transforming. And when it returns, it will come back stronger, truer, and more powerful than ever before. The question is not, why don't I feel motivated? The real question is, am I ready to awaken to a motivation that never dies?